Hi there, my name is John Nolan from vistage.ae, and today we're on the Top Shelf podcast, and I'm joined by Arkam, the founder and CEO of Proto 21 3D Printing. Pierre, great to see you today. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, John?
Very good, thank you. So Pierre, I'd like to start off by asking you if you could just give me a little bit of background on your company and on your role in the company.
Sure. So Product 21 is a 3D printing service bureau which provides services to the local market. We started from supplying it to Dubai, UAE, but now we have expanded throughout the Middle East and Africa. At times, we also supply our services all the way to Europe. Our range of services are making us as one-stop solution. So we start from reverse engineering to 3D scanning to 3D designing, improving your product, 3D printing, then finishing, then packaging, installation. So we do entire process of your product. And the products could be from any industry. It could be from aviation, it could be from automotive, it can be from defense, medical, you name it. We don't focus on industry or product or service. We focus on capability and capacity. That is the motto of my company. So we always think what 3D printing can do for the market, what we can achieve, rather than having a set of services or products that we can just offer a client. It is other way around. It's a custom-based requirement, and we are in the perfect market, which is UAE, which is growing so fast, and it's just a best place to be at with the company. My role in there is I'm the founder and CEO. So I started the company from my bedroom space, literally from one 3D printer from my bedroom space where I used to share a bedroom with a couple of people. And then I found a partner, which is a prestigious company, Joseph Group, who invested in my idea and the company. And today we are one of the largest leading 3D printing companies in the Middle East and Africa, with having over more than 150 machines. We have robotic arms. We have a robotic arm. We're going to have, inshallah, one more in the future. We have a state-of-the-art industrial manufacturing. We have automotive grade finishing. We're a team of 40 people now. And so far, Dubai is very kind to us.
Wow. So I think I know there's going to be a fascinating conversation today because 3D printing, I think a lot of people are fascinated by this. But before we go on about the business, I'd love to know the story of how Pierre Arkam, a boy from Pakistan, ended up in the UAE. How did your journey take you to the UAE?
So as a young child, I was always into arts. Okay. And in our culture, it's not the same as arts is not much reputed. It's more like you have to be an engineer or doctor, like Indian Pakistan. Maybe people know that. So I ended up being an engineer because of my parents' choice. I joined a telecommunication bachelor's degree, which I don't know anything about until today. How does telecommunication works? So I'm more like a mechatronics guy. Anyway, so yeah, so during my bachelor's, I was always looking up to everything else rather than engineering. So I was looking into electronics engineering, and I was looking into arts. I was doing photography. I was making websites. I was doing logos. I was doing Photoshop, Illustrator. I was doing everything else. Not much of engineering, actually. So I used to study well. Yeah, I used to pass exams and everything. And then I got a chance to United States as a scholar. So we got exchange scholarship to United States in my 7th semester. Over there is the first time I saw a 3D printer in my life. That's back in 2012. It was more like something from out of Star Wars, right, at this time. And I said, I want to make that back in Pakistan. When I came back to a country after the scholarship, I was surprised to know there's no 3D printer in the whole country. People even don't know what is 3D printer. When I start talking about 3D printer, they start laughing that he's just joking. There's nothing like that. You know what I mean? So I said, I want to make that as my final project. I made it as my final project. I got a lot of rejections. At times, it was like, this cockroach is not going to work. Somebody said it to me in my university, because it was a bunch of electronics and bunch of wires coming out, and you're wasting your degree. You're going to lose. You're going to fail. Better just take some master's project of telecommunication. But I just avoided everything, and I kept going. And I was able to produce a whistle which did not blow, because I could not program it right, how to have a cavity in there so the air can go in. Anyway, so from there, I realized that I need a master's in mechatronics, because 3D printer is a product of mechatronics. They're mechanical, electronics, coding, and automation, right? So I first I got a job in Pakistan, in Karachi Robotics Labs. Then I went abroad. I went to Turkey to pursue my master's in Bahçeşehir University in Istanbul. I lived there 1.5 years. Then I got a scholarship to Germany, Heinrich Heine University. And after that, like, I finished my bachelor's, and I said, I want to go back to my home country and start Proto 21. I mean, the name wasn't decided by then, but I wanted to start a 3D printing company. I was exposed to a lot of business and sales in Turkey. I did some sales calls. I learned how to do sales, how to do marketing. I always joined a job because I was very technically sound, right? So what was missing in me to be an entrepreneur is to how to sell, how to market your product. That was a key factor, and I knew this in my university core times, that I must learn them so I can sell my product. The most important is to sell the technology, not to build one. So I did that. I learned a lot of experience. Then I was ready to like take on board. I was very good at the marketing collaterals. I mean, sales calls. I took very like odd experiences in there. I worked in Abercrombie and Fitch as associate. Imagine, like, I was a store guy. When you walk in, I'm the one who's interacting, because I wanted to learn how to interact with the customer. What's customer service? I worked in McDonald's in Germany just for the sake of, for a job to survive as a student. I worked as a sales guy in Brew London. It was a company in Turkey for 1.5 years. I was just regularly calling people, like 100 calls a day. Just you learn how you convince a guy on a phone. And it improves your English and a lot of things. So when I came back to the country, I started 3D printing, and I tried, but I realized 3D printing was not really welcome there. You got to have 9 NOCs to import a 3D printer in Pakistan. It wasn't the same, and I was devastated. And then my brother was living in UAE. He said, why don't you come over for vacation here? I mean, I left everything with my passport, with the Pakistani passport, coming back to the home country. And I can't go again back there without a student visa. And I didn't want to pursue PhD. I wanted to do business, So I went to UAE. I just fell in love with the country. How cannot you fall in love with UAE when you visit it? My brother was living there. I landed in Sharjah. I still remember I had 1,600 dirhams in my pocket. That is 2017. This was a visit. I was just going for the visit. And I slept in a friend's office. His name is Mansoor Ujan and Imran Ali Basi. I always take their names whenever I speak to anyone, because I always remember them. They picked me up from the airport, and I had no money to pay for the hotel. I lived in an office. I bought a mattress of 60 dirhams, and I stayed in their office on the floor for three nights. In the morning, I would wake up, John, and I'd go to a restaurant just to see a restaurant on the right side, to see how many numbers are there and how many breakfasts I can afford for the next 2 months until I find a job.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it funny? So yeah, so that's where I started. I then ended up starting a job because I didn't have money and funds to start a company in UAE. It's not as cheap as you start a company in Pakistan or Europe or UK or United States. Starting a company in UAE costs minimum of 50K with your visas and everything, the trade license. I couldn't afford that at that time. So I started with a job to learn the market. Mr. Eduardo, Mr. Sunil Kashyap from 3D Creations, they were really kind enough to get me a job as a technical sales engineer, where I worked 8 months. And then I was like, they knew always that I would always want to start my own company. So I said, now it's time to start my own company. I started from a bedroom space. My ex-boss from Pakistan, he helped me actually with my website and logo and everything. So,
Wow.
there were good people in my life, right, who helped me where I'm today. Then I started the company. Then I met Joseph Group, and then that's how I built up today.
So tell me, How many people are in the company now? Can you give me a little bit of perspective on the scale of the business now? And what year did you start the business?
So we started in 2018. That is a third quarter. The first day I came to Joseph, I came with a small machine, and I was given a smallest office space. And I said, I don't need an office space. I need an industrial lab, so where I can like do my 3D printing. And we started at $100,000. So that was the capital of the company where we started. I was given a whole resources of Joseph Group. So the whole we have like a 800,000 square feet of facility in Jubilee industrial area, where we had paint finishes, we had metal, we had carpentry, we had so many other auxiliaries that you need when you want to start a company that were on my fingertips. This was the biggest interest of mine when I wanted to partner with Joseph. And I had a strong leader who taught me what is business, Mr. Ashik. He's the executive director of Joseph Group, Mr. Ashik Kanja. So he made me a businessman. He taught me. I worked very close to him first 3 years. Now we speak, but not much because he knows I'm doing well. And in the first 3 years, I worked really close to him. He taught me everything, what is HR, what is accounts, what is finance. So the missing points which were in my profile, I was good in sales, I was good in marketing, I was a good engineer, I was a good team leader, I'm a workaholic guy. But the things that you need, business intelligence, that I have adopted from him. So that is finance, how you handle cash flows, how you do projection, how you do budgeting, how you do all of those things. So those were, I learned from one of the best persons I met. And yeah, so the business now, we are the leading company in the Middle East and Africa. We're the largest in terms of operations as a 3D printing service bureau. We have a print farm of 120 machines. Like we have a print farm which can produce 120 parts in a day. We've got a robotic arm that can print 3 meters in one go. We're making automotive parts. We're making defense parts, some very high confidential products which are not on the market yet, and very prestigious customers like Minister of Defense, Dubai Police, ADNOC, Saudi Ministry, Dubai Ministry, municipality, you name it. Like Lamborghini. We made one model for that is still in the Sheikh Zayed Road in Lamborghini Museum, Lamborghini main showroom. We have made a very sophisticated art piece for them. We've done car parts. We've done parts that actually fit in a gun and the shoot for Jebel Ali Palace. So we've done some crazy, one of the most iconic projects in 3D printing. So yeah, the business is scaled up.
How many employees? How many employees have you got?
We have now, as of today, we would have 38, but we are still hiring. So we're hiring really fast because we are growing, we're scaling up regularly. In terms of revenue, profits, capabilities, capacities, experience, people, clients. So we are scaling up every single day, alhamdulillah, by the grace of God.
So how many players are in the market here? Just to give us some perspective, what stage is the 3D market in?
Sure. So see, 3D printing market as of today, I still see it as a raw market. There's still a lot to achieve in there. Like metal 3D printing is not so adopted much in the UAE region. It is complex. It will take its time. It will have its own curve growing up there. As a major players, it's Proto 21. There's one more very good company, Immensa. Then we have other companies which are more interested in model making and generation 3D. There are many 3D printing companies in the market today, but prominent ones I've just mentioned. Many of Proto 21 employees have left and started their companies. So, I was also so 3D Vinci Creations. From 3D Vinci Creations, I was born. Like Proto 21 was like I was an employee there. I started my company. The sales manager in 3D Vinci was also Sunil Kashyap, who started a LayerX 3D printing company. So yeah, it's a raw market, and it's like early birds right now, but it's a very complex business, right? So it's not a business that everybody can handle. It requires a lot of time, a lot of patience. It requires a lot of R&D. People just think that you can buy a printer and you can start a company. It's not the same. You hardly would be able to earn your salary out of it, you know. So it's running a business and being an employee. You know what? Sometimes I know it has its perks. Being an entrepreneur, being a businessman, it has its perks. But you have no place to fall on when you're on the top, right? The buck stops at your corner every single time. If something goes wrong in business, you're the one who's going to be questioned. You have to make sure the salaries are paid. You're going to make sure that the projects are delivered on time. You have to make sure, like, everything, right? So companies that start, they fail, they start and fail, but there's some that sustain, because it's a very difficult industry, very difficult business, very demanding industry. People don't trust 3D printing that easy. They trust the traditional manufacturing and they're happy with it. But now it's changing also by time. So I'd say it's a beautiful industry. And if somebody has a passion in it, should surely get into it.
Yeah, and it's obviously an industry, as you say, in early stages. It's growing quickly, and the potential is massive, right? Massive.
100%. 100%. I'm a 3D printing evangelist, John.
No, well, look, I mean, I think it's an industry for the future, right?
100%. 1000%.
So look, what I'd love to know is, what are the biggest challenges you've overcome on the journey?
Of course, there's so many challenges on my way. But it's like, if you love something, what you do, you don't find it challenge. You find it fun. I mean, the biggest was Corona, yes. The biggest was to understand how to build an ecosystem in a company, how to build a good culture in the company. That was a challenge. That was something very new to me. It was very difficult for me to, like, separate my passion and business. There's so many things I want to do in my company because I love to do. So when a client comes in and he says, can you make a 1:5 scale vehicle? And I'm like a kid in my mind, a child in my mind says, oh, can we just rotate the wheels too? But it's like, client wouldn't pay for that, right? So I'm passionate doing crazy stuff. And it's still like, it happens in times that clients just come into Product 21 and they place an order, and I just go full throttle, so high quality that they did not expect it or paid for. And then it just doesn't work with the cost, right? So it was difficult for me because production is like my baby. So I started it's my passion. I love to do it. I love what we make every day. If you go on Instagram, you see cool stuff there. So it was difficult for me to, like, separate my passion to business, because I have two hats to wear. I'm Arkam, and at the same time, I'm an employee of Product 21, where I'm founder and CEO, which I take salary from. So I'm going to make sure that I take decisions right. Apart from that, Corona was a really big challenge, because it was a catastrophe. Like, it was a situation where your hands are tight and you have to look after your people. You have to look after your family. You have to handle business flow, because when Corona came, we were just 2 years old company. We were very starting stage of the company. And if you just get a call from government and say, or you get a message from the government and say that you cannot operate tomorrow, you have to shut down your operations. I mean, I have my own family to feed. I have my people there, which are in different countries, coming from Philippines, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and the UAE, who have to feed their families back home, which are going through the same issues. So then my sales calls technique is started. And I said, I'm not going to sit down, because I am a workaholic. I work 18 hours a day. I work 15 hours a day. I can't sit down for 3 days and do nothing. So better what, like, search online and see what people are doing out there in 3D printing with this Corona times. So I ended up watching on LinkedIn a post from Italy that they're making 3D printed face shields for the Corona fighters, and they're making ventilator splitters, so that one ventilator can be used for three patients. So I said, this is cool. I think UAE would love to have that, and there's no any shipments coming from China. So I just, like, intrigued in my mind, like, let me call a few friends and ask them. And I called a few friends in business and generally clients, and it just started having more momentum. And I ended up for somehow getting in touch with the Dubai police, and that was a life-changing moment for me. So the gentleman said, Arkam, can you produce 4 samples of different face shields and bring it to us in next 6 hours? I said, I can't do it next 6 hours. I can do by morning. He said, okay, done. Can you bring them? I said, I need a permit to go out of my home. They said, we'll be giving it to you. I was given a very, very special permit that I can drive to my factory and pick up my friends, pick up my team members. And so we did that at 8 p.m. I drove out and I picked up my team members, one engineer, one project engineer, and one skillful handyman. And we reached to the factory and we like worked on the face shields. And in the morning, I gave him 4 face shields. He said, when you can deliver 15,000 face shields.
Right, really?
I said, I need to open up my factory to do that. And the Police was very, very generous. Okay. And they just didn't ask for discount. They just placed an order because they needed it. And at the same time, they understood that if I start functioning, my team members, I would be able to pay the salaries, right? So that happened. and and I got a full list of my people signed by Dubai Police. Everybody got a message in their phones that they're allowed to drive to the factory because we are now producing for UAE's frontliners. So we all started, mashallah, working in 2 days. So we were off in the Corona times for 2 days. Rest entire year, we were fully functional. We expanded business. We paid salaries. We paid bonuses. We paid overtimes. We hired people in Corona. We bought machines. We bought materials from the suppliers. We imported the stuff. It was a different time for me instead. But the one thing that during when we were open for the Corona works, like for the face shields, we also got a lot of opportunities, like crazy stuff. Like people were unable to find those products in the market because of the shippings were off from China, and they needed a lot of things which were not been able to be supplied otherwise. So we're producing them locally. So it just built up, and we survived the wave very, very nicely.
So really, Corona was an amazing time for your company, for your team, for you. And you, it seems like 3D printing was a perfect solution for a lot of the challenges of Corona, right?
Yeah.
So what have you learned about yourself on this journey?
And
what have you learned about yourself as a leader on this journey?
One thing is very clear. It's very lonely up there, you know. Yeah, like if you have any problems, you're the one who's going to find a solution. You can't ask someone for a solution. You become a very strong man. Sometimes I can say the emotions wash away when you're growing up as a business person. You have to be very highly disciplined to be able to perform, because you have a responsibility of so many families, right? So I have become much more responsible than before. I have become very much disciplined than before. And it just tells me how strong I am now, because to able to survive the things I've survived in the past years, I didn't know I could do that. So it was just a crazy passion inside that I wanted to make it success, and that I think would never stop. I think it's nothing to do with the perks of business. It has to do with the passion. It's about the drive inside you. I want to do automations. I want to do nice marketing. I want to make nice posts. I want to make nice projects. I want to do that project. I want to hire a nice team. I want to take them out, have a good time with them. Like there's so many things, and you enjoy the process. So I love what I do, and I've become a very strong version of myself now, I think.
So what are the biggest opportunities for 3D printing over the next 5 years or so?
I see personally that what 3D printing can do in medical, what 3D printing can do in construction industry, what 3D printing can do in aerospace industry is something huge. and we as a Product 21 are not looking into any of them for a reason, because that those industries has to evolve by time, and it requires changes on a higher level, so that those industries could adopt the new. I'm pretty sure in United States aerospace is taking. I mean, 3D printing is done very well in aerospace. In medical, I'm very sure it is there. So is in construction, but in UAE, I think it's about priorities. Like UAE is still like developing the economy, and they have their own. Of course, they're really really open to technologies, but they have priorities as a country, because UAE is much younger in terms of age than United States. Most of it. So now they're going to the next level, right? So they can invest. They have money to invest. But as in UAE, I mean, it's about they have much more maybe things to look after to let these technologies come up. And then UAE also have about one main situation is that UAE also has a very less population, right? We always have to consider in this regard, it's 9 million population. If you compare that, it's going to be one city of United States, right? One big city of United States. So geographically, UAE has a capacity to grow and have more people, but at the same time, in terms of technology, and it has to grow a much forward and much more way, because you can invest in technology, but the returns that would come would be dependent on how much use is there, But I don't see much of that use as of now, and it's just also personal a vision of a company to where you want to go at, but that's what I really genuinely think.
So you mentioned that Proto 21 is the largest 3D printing company across Middle East and Africa, yeah?
Yep.
So, what are your aspirations for Proto 21 then over the next 5 years? Because it sounds to me, based on what you just said about the potential for the industry, that 3D printing will start becoming a bit more mainstream within the manufacturing industry across different sectors. But you're operating more on the demand of what's there now for the UAE. But I mean, we're in a period of exponential change, and change is really rapid these days. So where are you going to concentrate Proto 21 yourself over the next 5 years?
What I see so far, I never considered Proto 21 to just end to 3D. We use 3D. We're a smart manufacturing company. We provide 3D printing services. So we leverage on 3D printing technology rather than subtractive manufacturing technologies. We use more of additive manufacturing technology. If from 100% of my technologies, I'm having 80% 3D printing. But there is a limit to every technology, right? So there's one big problem in the market, which I would like to address in this podcast. People think 3D printing is an answer for every problem, which is completely wrong. 3D printing is a technology for certain purpose. It cannot be used for everything out there. Like many times I see blog posts, people comparing 3D printing with injection molding. It's like comparing apples with bananas. They have their own use. 3D printing is good for low volume production, customized products, and complex geometries. If this is a perfume bottle, right? If I want to make this cap and I want to make 1 million pieces, I would not use 3D printing for this. And I would not sit down comparing 3D printing and injection molding. It's going to lose bad. Injection molding will be using a mold to produce it, right? But if I'm talking about a country who has a specific 110 F-16s, right? And among the 110 customized F-16s interiors, they need one specific button that is broken. Now they cannot make a mold because the mold is going to cost more than producing those 16 pieces. So what I'm trying to say is, I never considered Proto 21 as a 3D printing company. It never says somewhere. My company name is Proto 21 3D LLC because I want to have operations of 3D printing in the license, then my tagline is to the future. Now, I want to be smart manufacturing, where we have as of now today, we have sheet fabrication, we have paint and finishes techniques, we have robotic arm, which does large format additive manufacturing. We have injection molding in-house now. So we don't want to stop at 3D printing. 3D printing will grow at its own pace. But if the 3D printing is slowing down in terms of what new technology are coming up, my company shouldn't slow down there. So I should be able to produce everything that you want. When you walk into my office, I should be able to offer you every service that you're looking for in terms of smart manufacturing. So our company goal, my inspiration, if you ask, is protolabs.com. They started as a CNC manufacturing, where the tooling they added in the additive manufacturing. I did other way around. So I started with 3D printing, and I will add in the future. I want to manufacture car parts. I want to manufacture end used, daily use parts, like, So I want to do manufacturing. I want to go into more industrialization, but considering faster timelines, better quality, and better price. So I don't want to stop at 3D printing. We will have there are some technologies which can complement 3D printing, such as injection molding. If we want to make a mold and spend like $6,000 for a small part, you want to do a prototype, and I can do it in-house. So that's my goal ahead of my company. And I always say this in every interview, that one day it's my vision that one day when we go to the Mars, we want to make something. And Elon Musk is my inspiration, right? So if I get a chance to make something for them, so for the sake of their mission to Mars, I would die happy.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's actually how you explained that was really helpful for me. So now I have a better understanding of the optimum use for 3D printing. It really is more for bespoke and lower volume niche requirements. But anything that becomes large volume, there's a
3D printing fails.
3D fails. It doesn't become commercially viable, right? There is other alternatives.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I also, when you were explaining that, I actually suddenly had a light bulb moment where I figured out how you came up with the name prototype, right? So, so I get it now.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So look, what I love to know for our listeners of this podcast is, have you got any favorite business books or audio books that you've listened to that were game-changing for you? Any particular business authors you follow, influencers? You mentioned Elon Musk, so it doesn't have to be a book as much as maybe you follow.
I have a couple of books which I consider them Bibles for startups.
Okay, what are they?
I don't know if saying the word Bible was right, but anyway. So what I'm saying is, I have a book that I really believe it's a holy grail for startup companies, right? The book name is Rework.
Reword.
Yes, Rework, and I'll just find out the book author for you.
Is that REWORD?
David Heinemeier and Jason Fried.
Okay.
REWORK.
Oh, okay. Oh, Rework. I've heard of it. I have heard of it.
I have read that book more than 3 times now.
Okay.
I read over again and again, and I make my notes out of that book, really. And I've applied that book. Is so logical that I've applied it in my business, and I have seen drastic changes.
So elaborate. Give me some. Can you give me a 1-minute synopsis?
Sure. So the biggest takeaway of that book says meetings are toxic.
Okay.
How he explains that. I used to have in my company, I used to have a morning meeting every day. All right. Yeah. Every day, all my managers, we sit down and plan for the day and say that today, what are we going to do? So we sit down and say, today we're going to print this, we're going to have design this. And how many people are sitting in that meeting? Sometimes that meeting would stretch for half an hour, sometimes 40 minutes, sometimes 25 minutes. And how many people are sitting in that meeting? Minimum of 10 guys, supervisors, managers, me, everybody, accounts and everything, right? I said, how to get, so this book says meetings are toxic. Why? Because you're not wasting 40 minutes of the company. You're actually wasting 400 minutes. How? Because each person's 40 minutes you're wasting. Why wouldn't you just send an email and then they could read what's the plan? Usually this comes from the top, like me, all right? Because I am not disciplined in my work and I am not having proper strategy of the day, and I'm not either giving them authorities to take right decisions, or they're not remote to work, because I'm going to sit down and tell them every day what to do. This is nonsense, right? You got to have a system where people know when they come in the morning, they know what they have to do, and they just keep moving with it. So if you save 4 minutes of that day, imagine how much 400 minutes of a company a day. How many minutes are how much more productive your company is? In that 40 minutes, they can sit down, have a coffee, and have a brighter mind instead than just like wasting that time. So that was my biggest takeaway from Rework. Another was, I don't remember the titles and the paragraph, but the concept, which says, do not, if a customer's come down and tells you that I want this way, you don't follow it. If you don't give solution to the customer, for example, the difference between designer and artist, right? So if you go to a designer, he's going to give you 1, 2, 3 options and let you choose. But artist will tell you, this is my design, this is best for you, right?
Yeah, well, you sound like Steve Jobs. I mean, it sounds like Reed's Rework book. It takes some of the ideas from different entrepreneurs, because Bezos is another one, and I know Elon Musk as well. He doesn't like meetings, but
Really, I didn't know this personally.
yeah, I think Elon.
I'm very extrovert, John. I love meetings, but I just don't want make them meetings like wasting. So I always, now when I raise a meeting request on calendar, I write down agenda. I put a 15 minutes meeting, because I realize that I have a meeting with 2 guys, which is from my company, my managers. I'm going to waste 45 minutes, 50 minutes for me, for them. 2 is 30 minutes. So rather than I have shortest meeting time, just talk about the meeting and go away. Don't sit down and talk about crazy stuff, what's going on around the office and stuff. Just work and focus on your work, and that will just increase your productivity.
Yeah, no, that's like meetings definitely can be huge time wasters. I have to agree with you that. Look, I probably will look into Rework myself.
Yeah.
And have a read of it, or I'll find an abbreviated version and look at some of the messages. The other thing is, Steve Jobs used to say, customers don't know what they want. We know what they want, and we know better than what they want, and
exactly.
We will educate them because we know what we can do. They don't even know what's possible.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
He turned traditional thinking on his head, and let's be honest, he was a genius, right? In many ways, yeah. Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
So to create,
I didn't know this.
The iPhone, yeah. He's on record for saying, for challenging, saying customers don't know what they want. Like
100%.
Like, how can they know what they want when they don't even know what's available, right? So yeah, his book's amazing. The same guy that just wrote the book about Elon Musk, the biography, wrote the book about Steve Jobs. So that's a great book. But look, what about podcasts? Any particular podcasts you go to?
The Diary of CEO. I watch that podcast often. It's my favorite. Another podcast, my favorite is I forget the name. I'm so sorry. Podcast. I watch this all the time. It just slipped out of my head. Joe Rogan. I love him. Yeah, every single morning I watch like how they build pyramids with Joe Rogan, or I just see how they did if alien exists, or how American government is messing around, or how beings are there, if a Bigfoot is real, and this like as my entertainment is this. So I don't watch movies, I don't play games, I don't listen much songs. but I'll listen Joe Rogan and his suspicious activities are Area 51 and just be happy about it that, one day we're going to find an alien. It's just conspiracy theories. I love conspiracy theories.
Yeah, well, Rogan gets, he gets so many interesting people on his podcast, and he asks great questions, right?
Yeah,
Goes down the rabbit hole of so many different things that if he's not asking those questions, then the world would not know a lot about
yeah.
a lot.
And most interestingly, he stays non-biased, right? So he would never he would just be factual. He will just open up Google right there and read it out instead of somebody bullshitting. And that's the best part of him. I think it's my favorite podcast. Like, I think in my YouTube, in my TikTok reels, everywhere he comes up, because the algorithms know now that I like him. So,
Yeah.
he's amazing. Like, I learned so many things from him. Something really, really crazy. Like, somebody went to Africa to meet a tribe and how they live. You would never know this from National Geographic. You would never know that from any news TV channels. He has original, real people sitting down with him, talking about facts, no nonsense, and you can get really uncensored information.
Yeah, well, that's why he's number one, right? He's number one in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, look, one final question, which would be, what would you say to your 18-year-old self if you were to go back now with the wisdom you have? What advice, what wisdom would you give your 18-year-old self?
Leave your house. Go sleep on the floor. Go sleep on a train station. Earn yourself. Start a lemonade stand. Come out of your comfort zone. Go live a life. Just come out of your comfort zone. Just travel abroad. Go to a new culture. Learn what is out there. Just don't stick to your place. Just travel a lot and do crazy jobs. Don't look at so when you want to choose a job, if I was 18, when you want to choose a job, don't look at what it's going to give you. So there are two types of people in this world, John: givers and takers.
Mm.
So when I'm interviewing today, and somebody comes down on at my desk, and we have a conversation, and if he says, "How much is the salary so that I can have to work?" and the other guy said, "I can do this, 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 so I can get paid." You know what I mean? There are two mentalities in this world. And remember, successful people are givers, not takers. So you want to have that in an early stage in your life, right? So in early stage of your life, you should think of, when you're joining a company, what you can give, not what salary you're getting. That one change will make you successful. Because when you think about what I'm going to give, it's actually, you're going to talk about yourself reciprocal. How? Because when you give something, you experience more. You learn more things, right? Because more you work is good for you, not for them. They would find another guy who would work far better than you, always. There's market open.
Yeah.
It's
I fully agree with you, and I think the concept I have is, what value can you create? And I love saying to people who want pay rises, it's like, give me a reason to give you a higher salary. You give greater value to the company, so the company's getting greater value out of you. It's a win-win. The company will give you greater value back.
But if you have to pay to get into a good company in the beginning, I'm saying, forget the salary you're gonna get. If you're gonna have to pay out of your pocket, which means that your expenses are not met, just reduce your I mean, there are people out there who want to be successful, but not ready to compromise their time, compromise their sleep, compromise those people are scary.
Mm.
I get scared, literally, John, from such people, because they're dangerous. Because they want to be successful, but they're not ready to compromise their comfort, their entertainment, their parties, their sleep. If you're not ready to do those things, you can never be successful. That's where it starts. That's where, I mean, you can be one of many, but you cannot be special out there. It starts from struggle. You have to embrace struggle. You have to welcome it with a smile on your face. And if you think about, okay, I mean, that's what I say. When my child, I have a baby girl, I think I'm very protective of her. But inshallah, if I get a baby boy, I will, when he races to 18, I'll tell him to learn how to swim, how to play a gun, how to ride a horse, how to sail, how to catch a fish. I mean, and just be confident, how to go in a different country like Zambia, spend 1 week and come back all alone, how to protect yourself, how to go in another country like UK, do a master's and come back. This will make him furious. This will make him confident. He'll be a strong man. You know what I mean? So I look for that, and I think I'll be very, I will give him a lot of challenges in life. And that's the good thing. That's the good part. And the more you get grilled, the tastier the chicken is.
Say that last one again. The more you get,
It's my thing.
the more
I
you
said the
get-
more you grill, the more time it takes you to grill the chicken, the more tasty it gets.
Very good. Okay. Well, look, we'll finish with that one. I think it's been an amazing conversation. Really enjoyed it. I want to say congratulations to you on an amazing journey. Congratulations on Proto 21. And just by talking to you today, it looks like you've had great success, but it looks like you're still in the early stages of what should be an amazing journey. So good luck with the future.
Thank you so much. So this is my first podcast, and thank you for the opportunity, because I've never been asked some question that you've asked me today. So it was such a pleasure to speak to you, John. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Per. Well done.
Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.